The final scene of the season had just finished. The director's cut rang out, and the studio erupted, but Sam and Caitriona weren't laughing. They looked at each other, in the dim light, like two people who had just emerged from a dream and weren't sure if they were awake. This film was an artistic experiment. The director had asked them to erase the line between acting and living. Every scene was shot in one take, no cuts, no re-edits. "Let the raw emotion guide," he said. Caitriona had thought that was encouragement, until she discovered a 13th reel that no one on the crew remembered having shot. It wasn't on the schedule. The scrawled label read, "Scene 13 frame never ends." The director said he didn't know, and the camera assistant swore he'd never written down the number. But Sam, seeing the film can, just frowned slightly. "That's strange. I remember we shot an extra scene, just the two of us." They took the film to the test room. Dim lights lit up the silver screen. There they were, Sam and Caitriona, sitting on the same wooden chairs, in a setting that looked exactly like this one, but somehow wrong. "This isn't us," Caitriona whispered. But Sam paused. "Don't you remember? We really did this scene." They looked at each other. At that moment, in the film, the two people on screen also began to look at each other, and move their lips, repeating their words right now. The air in the room froze. Sam jumped up and turned off the projector. But even though the power was off, the lights still flickered, and in the dark frame, the versions of them on the screen stood up. From there, everything became distorted. Caitriona said she heard the slow-motion camera roll in her head whenever she talked to Sam. He dreamed of the movie itself in the mirror, but instead of images, it was memories that never existed. Then one day, the director called back. "I just reviewed the final cut. There's one scene I can't cut, because if I cut it, the rest of the movie will disappear." They returned to the studio. The projection room was now a single screen. When the image appeared, Sam and Caitriona saw themselves sitting in the seats, exactly the same as they are now. Except, the film version was smiling and waving. "Who are we watching?" Caitriona asked. Sam replied softly, "Maybe they're watching us." The image faded, the projection room door closed, the lights went out, the camera started. When the director walked in the next morning, the room was empty. There was only one new roll of film left on the table, labeled in familiar handwriting. "Scene 14. The frame completes itself." The editing room door opened silently. James, the post-production editor, walked in, holding a roll of film labeled, "Scene 14. The frame completes itself." The smell of old celluloid and burnt metal was still there. He set it on the table, intending to wrap it up and return it to the director, but something kept him from looking at the words. The ink seemed freshly dried, even though it had been written last night. He sighed and turned on the projector to test it. The light flickered, dust floated in the white light. The screen showed a still frame, Sam and Caitriona sitting across from each other, a dim blue light, the camera spinning between them. But there was no sound, no wind, no soundtrack. Just a looping image, like a stuck frame of film. James turned the rewind knob gently. Suddenly, a small voice came from the speaker. "Don't stop. If you cut in the middle, they'll be stuck there forever." He stopped, startled. A chill spread through the room. When he turned back, the screen changed. Now it was not just Sam and Caitriona, but a third person, sitting with his back to the audience. Gray suit, slightly tilted neck. Just like him. "No way," James whispered. He looked around, no one was in the room. On the screen, the other man turned his head, his face was his, but his black eyes were blank like burned in film. The lights in the room went out. The sound of the camera was heard even though he hadn't touched it. A hoarse whisper came from the speakers. "Every shot needs an editor to finish. And now it's your turn." He stepped back, but behind him was a wall. The keyboard typed itself, the computer screen lit up, a flashing message appeared. Importing footage, scene 15 detected. No one had ever shot, scene 15. James tried to turn it off, but it was no use. A new image appeared on the screen, him, sitting in the same spot, staring at the screen. But in the film, from behind him, the silhouettes of Sam and Caitriona were approaching, their faces blurred like layers of film. Cold sweat ran down the back of his neck. He reached out, touched the power button. But the voice rang out again, two voices now, one male, one female, mingling, as if from inside the projector. You can't cut. No one can cut. The frame must be closed from the inside. The whole room shook. The paint on the wall behind him peeled off, revealing scratches like film cuts. On the table, the scene 14 inches reel uncoiled, an endless strip of film spilling onto the floor, the frames smeared with dark blood. James saw in each frame his own face, each different, each expression different, as if he had lived it 100 times. He tried to burn the film, but when the flame touched the frame, it flared, and a new scene appeared. Caitriona stood in the darkness, turned to the camera, and said bluntly, "We never leave here, because the viewer is the final director." As soon as the sentence ended, the screen went black. James fell down, gasping for breath. In the silent room, the camera continued to run, recording the image of him lying motionless, and the sound of the tape continued to rotate. The next morning, the editing room was found locked from the inside. The machine was still on, the screen showing a single image. Sam, Caitriona, and James sitting together in the theater, looking straight into the lens. Underneath appeared the words, engraved in a faint red blood brush. Scene 16. You watched it too. From then on, every release of the film had a strange frame at the end, just 0.3 seconds. If you slow down, you can see in that frame. Sam and Caitriona are still sitting, but the third person has changed, the one watching. That night, the video, scene 14, the cut that never ends, suddenly appeared on an unknown channel. No title, no description, just the shaky text. Watch until the end to see yourself. The first person to watch was an old Outlander fan, curious to see Sam Caitriona in the title. She turned it on in the middle of the night, the pale blue screen light reflecting off her sleepy face. The first part was just a blurry image, the sound of a slow-motion camera. Then the editing room gradually appeared, the chair, the projector, and two people sitting in the dark. Sam and Caitriona. But something was wrong. She felt like their eyes were not on the camera, but through the lens, looking straight at her. She swiped the mouse to fast forward, but the time bar was locked. Time runs backwards 2:31, 2:30, 2:29. The screen blurs, then suddenly a short frame appears. Just half a second. She is startled. In it, Sam and Caitriona are still sitting, but behind them, in the darkness, there is a figure just rising from the chair. It is her. She quickly closes the video, her heart pounding. But when she looks at the black screen, her face is reflected in it, smiling strangely. A few days later, the video disappears from YouTube. No one remembers uploading it. Those who have seen it say they have had the same dream, a dimly lit room, an endless reel of film, and a voice whispering. The frame completes itself. Someone must keep watching. She wakes up, checks her phone. The screen lights up without touching it. A new video was automatically saved to the library. Scene 17. The viewer enters. Beneath the thumbnail, two blurry faces, Sam and Caitriona, stood next to a third figure walking toward the camera. She recognized the clothes, the pose, and her heart stopped as she saw the final words flash across the corner of the screen. You are now part of the film.